Well, good morning and welcome to a very wet and damp Yorkshire Dales. This wasn't the forecast, this wasn't the plan. And ultimately, there's two things we can do on wet weather days. And that is sit at home and feel sorry for yourself and not actually take any photos. Or just get your waterproofs on, protect your bag a little bit, and just head out and see what you can do. And luckily I'm in a really picturesque spot and there's a beautiful waterfall walk here, so I think I'll get something. I think the conditions actually might be quite good for it. But yeah, it's going to be a wet one, so I'm going to start walking. So today I've come to the Ingleton Waterfall Trail in the Yorkshire Dales, and this is it's actually a privately owned hike as such. You pay an entrance fee to walk effectively following the river up and past some absolutely beautiful waterfalls. I've photographed these like numerous times and I'll put a few shots up for you now. And these have to be some of the most photogenic waterfalls I've actually ever photographed. Now, as I said earlier, and you can probably tell anyway, it's a bit damp today. We've actually had some beautiful weather for the last couple of days, but it changed yesterday, which is annoying because it wasn't supposed to change until tomorrow. But you know, the beauty of damp, overcast conditions is that everything looks super green. Just look at this. You know, honestly, the woodland is looking alive. So it's definitely not going to be a mono day today, I don't think. Yeah, I'm actually quite excited about being out shooting today. I think the clue's in the name, because what you're looking at here is a tree with an absolutely ridiculous amount of coins which have been pushed into it. Like, absolutely ridiculous. Look, it's all the way down. You can't see the bark, literally. All you can see is coins. So I'm nearly at the first waterfall, and I thought what would be quite nice to do is just to quickly talk through how I prepare for this sort of photography and this sort of weather. And to be honest, it's not really that complicated what I do. Obviously, I waterproof myself up. I put this cover over my bag. You can tell by that there's a lot of water on here. I've fitted my 28 to 200mm super zoom, which is weather sealed. But also the super zoom is quite good because it means that hopefully I won't have to change lenses. I've got a cleaning cloth ready. I'm going to be using filters, probably if nothing else, to protect the front of the lens, and also to try and take this sort of glare off the water. I'm not going to use any like sort of long neutral densities today because it's quite dark enough as it is, so really it's just a case of using a polarizer. And finally, I've bought a little umbrella, which I don't know if I'll have to use yet, but it's dead small. Look at the size of that. Now this packs it away nicely in my bag. I think it costs about £10. I wouldn't like to risk it in any sort of strong wind, but I reckon it'll do well enough for just keeping the most of the rain off the camera if it really throws it down. So that's it really, nothing too complicated. And I'll see you up at the waterfall. Okay, so I'm at Pecker Falls, the first waterfall on the walk. I've composed a shot, I've gone for a square crop. I'm getting a fifth of a second. I've used a circular polarizer filter, ISO 100, f14. And really, it's that simple. And I'll put the shot up for you now. Right, so now that I've taken the shot, my camera is ridiculously wet. So I'm just going to give it a quick wipe off. Because what I don't want to do is transfer all this moisture into my camera bag. Now I'm going to quickly take the polarising filter off. I'm a great fan of this magnetic filter system, it makes my life easier. And honestly, if you work in these sort of conditions, you want everything to be as smooth as possible. But there we are. A lot drier. And it's time to move on to the next waterfall. Right, so I'm at the top of Pecker Falls. Now one tip I would give you is try and keep everything in your pockets to hand, because you want to try and get this done as quick as possible, really. Tripod's at a really, really dodgy angle. Now, a lot of people wonder why I would be fitting a lens hood when it's raining, and the reality is it just helps to protect the front of the lens from anything going on it. I think in this instance I'd actually like to have a wider lens, but I'm not changing the lens in this nastiness. So I'm just going to drop you onto camera view, because I want to demonstrate actually how much difference a polarising filter can make. Now if you look at all the grass, and as I turn it, can you see those colours coming out? You know, you go from that to that. And that's simply because everything's so wet. So it's reflecting the white light above. But by putting a polarising filter on, we can cut through that reflection. And of course, by cutting through the reflections, we cut all the white away, so it saturates your colours more. Now I'm going to underexpose by about 2/3 of a stop, simply because the water's flowing quite fast, so effectively we're losing information there, it's just bleaching out. And in fact, I'm going to bring it down to a stop under, because modern day sensors can tolerate exposure being lifted quite nicely, so really it's not a deal breaker. And I think that's the shot. So whilst I'm packing all my stuff away and drying it all off again, I'll put it on the screen for you. So that's the waterfall I'm heading towards. That's one I've photographed many a time. I think it's Thornton Falls, I'm not sure. I'll put the name up below me. But yeah, I took another shot at the top of Pecker Falls actually, but the mist was spraying up so bad and the rain got heavy that it was pretty much impossible to try and do any sort of B-roll or talking you through. But it was a simple shot. I'll put it up on the screen for you to look at. I'm quite pleased with that one, I think. But yeah, now this is, to be honest, the reason why I've come here is all about this waterfall. I do love this waterfall. But I'm not sure if the amount of water flowing at the moment could actually cause some problems. Now I would normally try and get here, by, you can see there's a big rock, right with my fingers, I'd normally try and stand there. But I'm actually wondering, with all this rain and the river being quite high, if I should come down here and try and get this sort of tier there and the waterfall behind. I think that's what I'm going to try and do. I may even try and just sort of come down on the bank here and zoom in and try that way. It'll be a little bit different from the shots I've taken before, but I don't think that's a bad thing really. But it's definitely plenty of water flow, and so yeah, I think we should be on for something here. So yeah, I've come down to where I said, and I'm hoping. I was a bit concerned that I might not get the end of the waterfall in, but I think from this angle I should be able to get the end of the waterfall drop in, and then have a little bit of the stream and have these rocks here in the foreground. That's the idea. I think it may be a bit cluttered. I think there's only one way to find out really. Okay, so I've composed the shot. It's quite different to anything I've done here before, and I've just switched it to camera live view so you can see. And basically what I'm trying to do is, obviously I've got the waterfall here, but I'm also trying to have it so it runs past this tree here and back off. I can't decide if it's a little bit cluttered, to be honest. So the lens has been doing a really good job of keeping the lens element clean, which is good. I'm f14, ISO 100. That's giving me half a second, which is giving me blinking highlights, so I am losing detail on the water. I'm going to bring it down to a quarter a second. I think it's quite pleasant. I don't think it's what I want to take. I don't think it's the angle I want to do here, but I think it's a good start. I'll put that one on the screen for you while I try and find another viewpoint. Right, so I'm sitting in on the job. I've gone for a very simple portrait of the waterfall, to be honest. I'll put it to the live view so you can see what's going on. And basically, as you can tell, the waterfall's roughly on the third mark, coming straight over and then running down this way. You're not quite getting the bottom of the frame on that shot because that's from the video mode. I think what's really attracting me is the way the spray is shooting up, so almost forming patterns in the air as it flies up. So it's going to be a case of getting an exposure, which is right for that. So I'm getting half a second, f14. I'm going to bring exposure compensation, no, make that quarter of a second, f14. That's a one-stop exposure compensation. And that exposure's working quite nicely. I'm not sure if the shutter speed may actually be a bit too slow because there's so much water coming over, so I may try adjusting that. In fact, I'll do that now. So I'm going to go from f14 to f10. Gives me 8 of a second. Yeah, that's working nice. It's a nice shutter speed for it actually. There's a lot of spray. Because really, as you can probably see as it's coming over, I want to get the spray actually in the frame. I think it's an important part of the story. Yeah, I think we got it. Nice, pleased with that. Right, another waterfall. This is Beasley Fall this time. I don't think I've actually photographed these falls before. And to be honest, I think I know why, because I've been really struggling. I think the problem is, if I swing you back around, there's just so much, and this rock here, this rock, I'm just finding it really dominating the frame, which is kind of upsetting me. And then the falls at the back there, well, they're just coming over a little too fast. There's just not much texture going on. And really what's catching my eye is this bit here, where I'm just sort of swinging my finger. So what I've basically done is I've got the lens at about 145mm, and I'm doing a square crop, and I've got it nice and tight, fitted the polarizer, very abstract, and I'm getting about an 1/8 second f16. But for me, it's telling more of the story than trying to get the whole falls in. Or perhaps it's telling my story. It's just, I suppose, the point I'm trying to make is I'm conveying from this location what I want to convey, not necessarily the whole big scene. You know, less is more. Yeah, nice shot, I think, and I'll put it on the screen for you. Well, guys, that's the end of the waterfall trail, and there's a possibility that I'm a little waterfall out, which is, I never thought I'd say, but honestly, I've lost count of how many waterfalls I've passed. It's been really pretty. It's I've got a handful of shots I think I'm happy with. But you know what? This morning, there was 2 ways it could have gone. And I basically had 2 options. Option 1, go home. Or option 2, try and do something with the weather. Now, there's a well-known saying that there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. And I think this also applies to photography because, oh, really, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad subject to photograph in that weather. And I hope that's what you take away from this video, that really, there's always something there to be photographed, whatever the weather. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And I'll see you again next week for another one. Thanks for watching.